Hello, everyone. Welcome to Robert Bellissimo at the Movies. This is a podcast where I explore the many different ways in which stories are told on film by reviewing movies from all over the world, as well as I interview industry professionals who work in film and television. My guest today is Janaé Rachel Ballot, who is an award winning filmmaker. She has a web series in development now called Managed, and she finished the pilot, which I saw just last night, and I really loved it. I think Janaé is going to be a filmmaker that is going to really be telling great in-depth stories, and she's a filmmaker that you really need to know. She has also written a film on the life of Anthony Perkins, who was in Psycho, and I'm really looking forward to that one, which is currently in development. So here is my interview with Janaé. Enjoy. So, Janaé, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. I'm really happy to be here. And hello, everyone.
No, thank you. I'm so glad that Matthew put us in touch because, as I said, I saw the pilot for Manage and I really enjoy it. So I have more questions about it. But I just want to go back because this is really fascinating about you is that you're from show business family in growing up in Beverly Hills. And your grandfather, Eric F. Burtis, worked with Orson Welles, Hitchcock, Shirley Temple. What did he do for them?
He did, yeah. I was my sister and my sister was a child actress. I acted as a child, so there's obviously something mentally wrong with me. Obviously, something mentally wrong with her, and with anybody who gets into this industry. But yes, my family, a lot of my bloodline is in entertainment, so it's never ending stories with me. But my grandfather, he worked for Lux Radio back in old Hollywood. And so Lux Radio would do interviews, much like you do. And he worked with Orson Welles, like you said, and Jack Benny, and all these different people. So it's old Hollywood is very much still a part of my Hollywood. My mom, she wore so many different hats. She was a tap dancer. She was a manager. She was, we're talking about managed. But she was a photographer, and she was an actress in her own right, and that trickled down to my sister, and she started acting for Nickelodeon and Disney. And me, the baby of the family, I was somebody who was like, do I really want to act? Sure, I'll try it, but my heart was never in it. I did do competitive dancing when I was little, but I never felt like my heart was really in acting. And it was actually after my mother passed away that when I was very young that I just thought to myself, I want to watch movies. Like I watched tons of movies when I was with my mom. And so I was like, I want to watch more, but I want to watch movies that I actually can pick. And instead of my mom going, let's watch Jurassic Park again. Yeah, and then from there, I just started to watch, like, really go into movie after movie after movie, and then I got the confidence to go, I think I can write a story. And I was like 17 years old when I actually professionally started to sit down, write, and treat it like a job.
Wow, that's incredible. And may I ask how your mother passed away?
Yeah, she passed away. She had chronic asthma, and she passed away from a heart attack. An asthma attack led to a heart attack.
Oh God, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I shouldn't be smoking as I say that because I'm trying to find my sister and I, Savannah Ballot. We're very much trying to find a nonprofit to help with asthma. And to find better treatments out there. But yeah.
And your father, was he also in the entertainment industry?
No. He is a storyteller in his own right, but he is an appraiser, and that's where it pretty much ends with him. He's in real estate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, you talked about, watching films with your mother, and she would be picking movies and stuff like that, what was the first film that you can remember having a real impression on you?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I would say probably, you know, it didn't have a big impression on me, but I'll just pick from like a memory of my mom's. Lord of the Rings. I remember Lord of the Rings, watching that with her, and I said, "Why is Gimli so irritating? Like, so annoying, Mom." And he said, or she said, not Gimli, but Gimli didn't, you know. But she said he's there for comic relief. And I said, "What's that?" And she talked me through what comic relief was. And so that was when I was about 6 years old. And you know what, actually, speaking of 6 years old, a movie that did leave an impression on me, which might not be the fan favorite of the day because of the actor, my father did show me American Beauty at 6 years old. So,
oh, wow.
You know, about my family, that they really sat down their kids, and they were like, they held like they had no qualms, none.
Okay, wow. Lord of the Rings and American Beauty. Wow, that's quite the combination. I love that. I'm curious about your experience as a dancer and actor. I know you said you didn't have your heart in it, but did you have formal training in, I imagine, dance for sure, but with acting, did you also have formal training?
Formal training in dance, hip hop, tap, and yeah. And then with acting, because my sister would be going on like a tear of auditions and callbacks and jobs, she would come home with her sides. And she's my older sister. And so I would come home, or she would come home from her auditions or her work, and I would see her sides, and I would just try to mimic the format. The format of a screenplay looks so romantic. And so, yeah, I did do a little bit of classes that she did. Oh, she did like a lot of them, but I did kind of peek my head in and, you know, sat down, and I did some cold read classes, which I really do for any actors out there. I really do suggest that if you're going to take any acting classes, take a cold read class. It'll help you in the audition room. But so it was really just me teaching myself and taking out books of Stella Adler and really just learning and making sure I'm consuming as much as possible, and knowing that everybody's process is different, trying to create my own.
That's interesting that the screenplays in these books really triggered your intrigue. I'm curious, what is it about the cold read classes that you find help with acting?
I think that it's so important because you're, as an actor, and when I was acting, it was a blessing in disguise. As uncomfortable in my skin as I was, it was something that made me have a deep admiration and empathy for other actors. And so when I work with actors today as a director, I'm very much focused on them. But going back to your question, it's what you said, what was it specifically about the sides, and what was it specifically? Oh, cold read.
Why is that a class that you feel has value?
It's something that when you're in that audition room, it feels like you are on fire from like an anxiety attack. Like you have a casting director in front of you who's going natural American spirits. And then go, yeah, it's a very good cigarette not to smoke, kids. And so you basically, it really is jarring. It's surreal. And you're there to sell yourself, and you're there to also do the best performance you can. But I learned from cold reads that comfortability, be comfortable in your own skin, how to be prepared to be in that room, how to be prepared to just literally let go and treat every single audition as if it's your stage. It's not there, you know, you're going in with the mindset that, oh, I need this opportunity, I need this callback.
Right.
That's going to be a little bit, it's going to backfire. And so if you walk in and go, this is my stage, no matter what happens, I'm going to be able to perform to the best of my abilities. And so this is a lot of stuff, actually, I have to give credit where credit is due. I learned from my sister. I learned osmosis and her leading by example.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, as an actor myself, it's if you go in there with the mindset of I need this job,
Yeah.
they'll feel it. You'll just be doing exactly that instead of this is, you know, taking the opportunity to act in front of an audience. So I think that's really, really great advice. So before Manage, had you directed any other short films before that or anything else?
I came close when I was 17, and it didn't work out for all the right reasons. But yeah, that, you know, you did a review, and a very amazing review on A Woman Under the Influence. And
thank you.
It's, you know, irony has really just been like the name of the game in my life recently. But the short at 17 was very much inspired by A Woman Under the Influence.
Oh.
And it never came to fruition, but at the same time, it did allow me to go through pre-production.
Mm-hmm.
And it allowed me to understand how to not treat actors and how to, basically, I was 17 and I was like some cinephile thinking that, oh, I know pretty much everything. And that's one thing that I'm so happy and grateful about. I mean, I'm 27 now, but it's pride is a very ugly thing. And it can definitely get in the way of being a good filmmaker and an authentic and genuine one. And so it didn't work out for really that reason. I was not ready.
That's interesting that it was based loosely on A Woman Under the Influence, which is, you know, one of my favorites, if not my favorite film. So I'm glad that you love that one as well. What are some other favorite films of yours?
I usually ask people this question. I would say The Big Chill is a big.
Yeah.
I love that movie because somebody once said in a review that you have Motown every 5 minutes, and that's why you love it. And I'm like, no, there's an actual good cast here and a good ensemble.
Oh yeah.
Another movie of mine that I really do like. There's so many. I think that The Social Network, that's a great movie. Atomic Blonde is a great movie. Wow, it's a hard question.
I know, it's always tough. I was on a podcast once and they asked me my top 10, and
yeah.
It's so hard.
What about you?
Oh, yeah. Well, for me, certainly A Woman Under the Influence, Rocco and His Brothers by Visconti. I love Elaine May, Heartbreak Kid,
yes.
And Mikey and Nikki are two of my, you know, all-time favorite films. I love Fellini, 8.5. La Strada, I'm a big Bergman fan. You know, Persona, Cries and Whispers. So many. Wanda, Barbara Loden. I love that movie. I don't know if you've seen Wanda, but that's a great.
I haven't. I heard of the title, but I haven't.
Yeah. It's for me. It's whatever, you know. Later on, I'm always like, oh, why didn't I say this or why didn't I say that? I just whatever it is right now, whatever's
like going through the Rolodex. Yeah. I totally agree. It's I have like a whole set of DVDs, and I'm blanking. But all those movies are brilliant.
Yeah, I usually blank as well when I get asked that. It's weird. I don't know why, but for some reason
And you did not blank. You're like
starting this podcast. I'm talking about movies constantly, right? So I guess they come to me a little sooner. You know, it's interesting. Thanks again. I really appreciate that you let me see the pilot for Manage. And I know we were talking about it before we started, but one thing in this that I was going to ask you about that confused me, but then later I had a different take on why that might have been, is that when the child star, you know, walks out on the manager, and then when he sees that, you know, she's taking on this new, you know, influencer with these 100 million viewers or something along, followers or something along, he suddenly then wants to go back with the manager. And I thought to myself, well, if he's such a big star, why would a manager be such a threat? But then it made me realize that perhaps he saw that he's not as confident as maybe people may think, that it's that he's threatened that someone is now going to take his place and he wants it back. Was that what you were going for there?
Yes, definitely. It was this 180 of being able to see somebody talk, get on their soapbox and talk about their plight and their problems, which are really uptown problems. Let's not forget that Paris is a superhero movie star in like the Marvel make-believe universe within Managed. And he is somebody who doesn't want to be on social media. He's somebody who wants his voice to be heard. He wants to go back to the theater. And he's somebody who wants to feel his craft again. Doesn't want to be a cog in the machine. But it really is that moment of seeing that she has hired somebody else that has more followers than him, that is an influencer, which he is not. And social media, it's really out with the old, in with the new.
Yes.
Power dynamic that shifts completely. You know,
right.
We see Susanna, the manager, completely not in control. And she's wondering, what, you're retiring? You can't retire. And then that shifts when she sees the influencer. She knows, okay, I know how to turn the tables here. And the power dynamic changes, and his ego gets the best of him. Because nobody wants to be left out or taken out with the trash. And especially within this industry, it's like, I have heard a lot, what are you working on next?
Right.
Because that matters most. And so it's not what you're even promoting right now. It's not what you like spent 2 years on or a year on, whatever. It's what is happening now and happening like here
later.
Later.
Right. Yeah.
And so he does feel in that moment deep desperation to not be forgotten, and again going back to like even like pride and ego to be back in that spotlight and back and her attention, and like, you forgot about me? No, you can't forget about me.
Right.
Yeah. I like that you said child actor, because he's very much a child.
Yeah, his behavior, certainly. It's interesting that, and it makes me really wonder about the future of this industry in terms of, you know, we're already seeing that movie stars are not needed as much as before. So is it now going to be the Instagram followers and the YouTubers as the new celebrities, as more and more people are online? And it's sort of like when the silent film period ended and we went into quote unquote talkies, when sound, and how many people lost their careers there, or when television came around and that affected the industry. So now we're seeing this other shift. So it's really great to see that in a story. I mean, I think you're going for a much bigger essence than purely that, of course. So what is in the heart of this story? What is the essence here?
That's a really good question. Just boil it down to just that. So I can talk all day about it. I would say ego. And I really would. I would say it's ego and, narcissism to some extent, not to where we all use narcissism in, oh, that person's so pretentious. No, I mean like the psychological term of it. but within the industry, and how that can be a little bit hidden. So yeah, but basically, to give you a very simple answer for such a good question, ego. It's us fighting with our egos and waging a war against ourselves. And if only we can just step out of our own way and just say, you know what? I allow you the space in the room to talk and for you to feel, for you to express your opinions, your whatevers. You could do whatever you want. I'm taking my ego out of it, and I'm just going to allow you to be you. And that would be amazing. But, you know, I think that happens with our closest friends and within our own little circles and circles. So, yeah.
I really thought that, you know, that the I'll call him the child actor, the superhero, the young Downey Jr. or something along those lines. He actually is onto something at first, you know, like that. It reminded me of like Birdman, like Michael Keaton's character, or even the Sofia Coppola's film Somewhere, which also explores the nature of celebrity and the illusion and what's going on behind closed doors. And he's onto something in terms of, well, this is not important, this is bullshit. And it's so interesting how he easily is brought right back into it. And you think that he's going in a certain direction, but he actually really isn't at all. You know, like I don't know I don't think he was talking, you know, nonsense. I think he meant it, but once his consciousness could only go so far. Once he has to make a choice, either be who I am and go do things important, or fall into this Twitter war of the threat of losing my career, we see that is much too scary for him. But that was also what was funny about it. You know, I mean, I love the stepmom and the stepson, how he's guy's just on his phone, you know, yet he's got all these followers for what? Like, what did he do? You know,
like that. It is, you know, what you said, it's true. It's like he does what the things that he is saying, they are true.
Yeah,
they are. He's talking about like consumerism. He's talking about Twitter is a new Catholic confession, and they're you know, this is kind of true stuff. And it sounds like he is having like this awakening that I don't want to be involved in this anymore, and I want to find what makes me feel good. But I think that's like going back to you know, us, how we can wage wars against ourselves and be our own worst enemy in a less dramatic way, and more of that sort of like Birdman type vibe. Interesting that, you know, you brought up that movie because it was a big inspiration. It was it is that, no, like because I do think that people in the industry who work within the industry, that you gotta want it like nothing else, and it has to be running through your veins. It has to be something that you go, I don't know what else to do. I have no clue. I have no idea. And I think that is a part of it for Albert, the child actor.
Albert, there you go.
That it is him going, no. Like, I can say all this sort of anecdotal type stuff that I did on interviews, and like kind of like I can justify in my head, like I did to Susanna, the manager, about how Twitter is nonsense and all this stuff is nonsense, and celebrity is false worship. But at the same time, no, I need to be the celebrity. And contradiction, much like anything in life, you know, and especially in story, contradictions are always fun to play with.
I really love that. And, you know, you see that not just in terms of how people, you know, present, whether it's social media or what have you, but when people talk about what they really believe or how things should be, and then when it comes down to they have an opportunity to do something. I'm not saying everybody does this, but I've certainly seen when the opportunity to do something about it comes, they react very much like the child actor in this film, the superhero. Again, not everybody. Some people really do, but I thought that was very true because I've seen that kind of behavior. So I thought that was spot on.
Sorry, we did some overlapping dialogue, but yeah, no, it's what you're saying is it brought back something for me, which is managed is, yeah, it's about ego, and it's about your actions will speak louder than your words. Like what you're, somebody can talk about something, but they are just words. At the end of the day, it can be very, very empty if there's nothing behind it and there's no meaning, there's no action. So you can say something to someone or say something to the world, but if you're not doing anything about it, then why should I believe you?
Yeah.
But it is, it goes back to that perception, you can kind of, but yeah, I feel myself kind of going on a tangent now. So.
No. I mean, there's so much to say in this, because as I said earlier, I mean, it's relevant and there's a lot of behavior here that is very true to life. The filming of it, the camera work is very documentary-like in its approach. Was that intentional?
That was, well, it was, so we shot for 2 days, well, 3 days, actually. We had pickups for the third, but it was very fast-paced. It was something to do, like, we really planned it out, and we got it, Matthew Minnelli and I, and we really did plan everything out. But there were shots. There were, like, a whole shot list. But it was me as a director. It was on set, and we were losing daylight, and we're behind schedule, and we had so many pages left to do that I literally went back to the one thing that I would watch on repeat while writing Manage, which was Veep. And yeah, it's just that satire and that cruel satire as well that really did help feed into Manage. But so what I did was I remember just like vividly going to Matthew Minnelli and going to our cinematographer and taking a pen, and this is the first time I'm directing, but I've been writing for years, and going, I know what to do. I'm a writer. I'm going to just slash pages and cut this scene. This line is not going to move us forward or reveal character. It doesn't make any sense, or it's just there to be cool. Forget it. And so it was very liberating to get to the meat of something. Mm-hmm. And that's what I really did love about that experience is from my own personal standpoint, you can make your shots. You can, add subtext to the frame. You can do all that stuff. But for me, I just love seeing the story unfold. I love seeing the actors, turn it into a performance and a character that's emoting out to you, and that you can relate to or sympathize with. And in that moment, it was liberating to say, hey, we don't need to be doing this or that. We just need to follow. Let's just follow them, and in the edit, we'll take care of the rest. And yeah, so the actors, especially Savannah Ballot, she improv'd.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it gave them free reign, and it really just loosened everything up.
Yeah.
And made everybody feel like, okay, let's just do our thing. Yeah. And so when she says, you have to see my Buddhist / gynecologist and have him take a look at you, that was, so a lot of different stuff happened for good reason.
I love to hear that, because so often we can never really know, I think, every single choice that a director makes. As you said, sometimes it was organic on the spot. I'm rereading Sidney Lumet's book, Making Movies, and he apparently asked, oh, it's so good. And he asked Kurosawa about a certain shot in one of his films, why he framed it a certain way. And he said, because if you moved it to the left a bit, I would have saw these buildings, and we were in, you know, it was a different time period. And he's like, yeah, it's compromise, right? It's instinct. It's in the moment, right? It's not about, you know, like not to put it down, because I really love Hitchcock, but I mean, as I'm sure you know, it was so blueprinted to a T. He rarely did anything on the spot that was a decision against what he planned. But
there was no room for spontaneity.
Yeah, it's just a different tradition, right? It was a different way of filmmaking. But you know, that's really fascinating to me, because you told me that, you know, at 17 you were going to do this film, and it didn't work out. Did that hurt your confidence over the years, or did you just bounce right back?
It didn't hurt my confidence. I mean, there was a definite pang of, you know, like, whoa, but it was, I did feel even at 17, like, and moving forward, like, oh my gosh, like that. I remember people coming up to me and saying, you need to get back into directing. You need to try it again. And I said, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. And I loved how I was able to just go, no, like I really felt I wasn't ready. And so I did feel this evolution, for want of a better word, of me going like, nope, I'm not ready. You know, a year later, nope, I'm not ready. Nope, I'm not ready. And that was, you know, talking about like the spontaneity and being able to liberate my own self. I wouldn't have been able to do that at 17. I would have been focused on, what are we saying within the shot, and and that has its place. It has its
Absolutely,
place.
yeah.
Anything else does, but just personally for me, I'm somebody who is more, what is the story about?
Right.
What are we trying to say? And just not something that's universal. It's about the industry. But when I went into it, I was constantly questioning and asking, what is it that makes it universal?
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody can watch this, and everybody can actually laugh at it, even though comedy is so subjective,
right?
And more so than drama, in my opinion. But it's getting down to the meat of things, and the why and the how and the what ifs, and going with your heart and trying to go for substance over style, and aiming for that substance. And just, so I felt very much ready in that moment to go, yep, I know what to do, because I wrote so many screenplays and I've produced and gone through script development with talented producers and credited producers. But it was humbling to go through those experiences as well, because you get to hear the side of like the industry of like script development, of things to do to just create sympathy for a character, and that can get the script read a little bit easier, and little tricks and whatnot.
Was there anything that you took upon yourself to formally learn about filmmaking, or did you just pick up and start shooting?
I did. Well, I'm always somebody who thinks knowledge is power. So, but if I at any point was asked a question and I did not know the answer, and I do advise like anybody who wants to get into filmmaking or this industry, don't be afraid to say, I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And don't be afraid to say yes. Just keep going. But just mainly don't be afraid to say, I have no clue. Yeah. And not, I said, I don't know. Can you tell me what that is? And then I actually would hear from the proper department head, or, whoever in the camera, or whether that was funding or whatever that was, that I just wasn't equipped in. I would learn a lot, and that creates a connection as well, to be able to have somebody genuine telling you, well, this is what it is, and then create collaboration. And so if you have the right people, stick with the right people. But Yeah, it was, I did go through my own little process of like thinking back to movies, but a lot of it was just growing up in this industry and watching and participating and working. And so it truly astounded me when I got into post and I started working with Sean Patterson, the composer, and he composed everything. He wrote and composed Everything Is Awesome for the Lego song. And I was just like, I feel like the score is such a big character within Managed. And I remember talking to him on the phone for like one of the first phone calls, and it just shot out of my mouth. I was like, I feel like it's the quiet before the storm, like around this part of the arrangement and this section of the movie or pilot. And he went, and he was just like, we're riffing, and I like, oh my gosh, what was that? Like, what? I never worked with a composer, but what just happened? What happened? And that's a lot of moments within writing that I've had, screenwriting, producing, that I've worked off of a lot of instinct and it coming out. And I think it's from a very, me being in this industry for so long.
Is that how you, because I know your sister was the manager in this.
Yep, that is how though.
Do you want something specific, or do you give them free reign and play off of what they're doing?
I do want something specific because I'm a writer, director, but I do really, when I write, I have to go for intention. I have to go for, okay, each thing has to make sense in order to create a story. And so I go to the actors and I say, this is the intention. But I know actors, they want to create it and they want to make it their own.
Yeah.
So by that point, it really is handy. And it's also, like, I'm sure you would agree with me, it's getting to the point of talking to people and talking to actors and say, what is your process? And without really having to say it, just start to get to know them. I give them free reign to be themselves because the confidence of an actor is so important.
This is going to be playing soon, right? At the in LA, there's a screening happening.
Yeah, there is. The Chinese ramen. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be at the Silicon Beach Film Festival.
Incredible. And where are you at now with the web series? Has the series been shot, or are you developing that now?
We're developing it. And
okay.
So we have, the team is coming back. So Elizabeth Ronald's daughter, who is a producer on Managed, she edited Atomic Blonde and Shang-Chi and John Wick. And she's coming back as a producer. And
That's
Sean,
awesome.
the composer, Sean Patterson, he's coming back as a composer. We have Matthew Manelli coming back as executive producer, Savannah Ballot coming back as Susanna. And it's we're going to be making, it's an anthology series to where, the manager has a new client each time, which it can be a sports star, it can be another influencer, another actor, anything to kind of
right, I see.
board different people. And it's and they all have their own existential crisis, which we can all laugh at to some extent, and she needs to manage and not lose her mind.
That's okay, great. Well, I look forward to seeing that. And I know that you wrote a biopic on Anthony Perkins, which is, that's really exciting. What got you interested in his story?
He's very enigmatic, and there's a great mystery that surrounds him and his legacy. He was a very talented actor, and somebody that was a part of the, Monty Cliff and Brando and James Dean. And, this is a man who was actually he worked with Jane Fonda and Sophia Loren, and he worked with Hitchcock, and he worked with all of the leading ladies.
Yeah.
But he did get typecast in Psycho. So this man, he led a very, I tend to find a common theme within my scripts, and ones that I like to chase, and that is identity. And he was living a life that was very much a double life. And so I did take to that. I was very drawn to that. It was actually my sister and I that saw Psycho, and we thought, there's something more to this guy. Let's look him up.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, I went into development with different producers, and it's still in development and doing well. But yeah, it's just, I love the fact that he is a mystery, and a lot of people don't fence me in. That's the title of the project. A lot of people will get to know the man behind Norman Bates once it comes out.
No, I'm looking forward to that, because I don't know much about him personally. Other, you know, of course, he died of
I
age.
literally did 8 years of research.
Oh wow, okay.
Family, friends.
Oh.
Every 8 years. And so if you want to give me any question, I got your answer.
Oh man, God, we could be here all day, because yeah, he is a fascinating actor. I mean, he sort of, I remember watching him in Fear Strikes Out. Did you, when he was with Carl Malden? I'm sure you saw that. Yeah. And just the way in which he can get freak out and be afraid is so stunning. And or in Wusa with Paul Newman, and Joanne Woodward. There's another scene, I forget the context, but he just panics, and it's so visceral. But I'm curious, when you say, I don't know, was he gay, or was he bisexual, and he couldn't come out? Was that the double life you're referring to?
Well, it is one of the aspects. I mean, he definitely was, back in the 50s, it was a death sentence for actors to be gay, to be bisexual, to be anything of the sort, to be able to live their own lives, through their sexuality. Their careers would be over. They would be thrown in jail. And, Tab Hunter, he was thrown in jail for attending what Confidential magazine back in the day called a pajama party. So he was somebody who was very much for keeping his image, and rightfully so. I mean, you grow up in those times, and you're being told by studios, and you're being told that you have to be this in order to get this, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you're working, if you want to be the star that we will mold, that we will show other people and get them to make you feel validated, make you feel loved, fans and all people, then you got to stop. You can't do the things that you actually want to do. And so this really did create a battle for himself, a fight for his life, to where he went to a psychoanalyst at the Stars who worked with Nora Ephron and Rex Reed, and he underwent conversion therapy.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's so, wow. Yeah. I did not know that.
And so he later married a woman, and he had 2 boys, but then he died of AIDS. And he had AIDS while actually going into a supermarket, and he looked over a tabloid, and he saw the National Enquirer, and it said Anthony Perkins has HIV virus. And it is very sad to think that, they leaked his blood. He went to a doctor prior, and they tested it without his knowledge, and then 2 years later he died.
Oh God! So there was leaked to the press before he was even told. Yeah. From a doctor. Oh my! I didn't know that. Wow.
From a tabloid.
Yeah. Oh my God, that is so tragic. I had no idea. And I believe his wife had died. She was in one of the planes.
He died
in 9/11.
Yes, she died on one of the planes. Yeah. So the tragedy is very much there, and she took care of him when he was, very, very sick. And it was a secret within their family that he was sick, and so he can keep acting and keep making money.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's but the story in itself of the biopic, he was such a funny man and very witty and self-deprecating, and also a jokester. Like, his entertainment was for him and him only at times. So that, going back to what my mom taught me very young, comic relief. When you're dealing with such heavy material, he's this jokester and this very lively personality throughout the script, and will be throughout the movie.
Wow, that'll be some story for sure to see on film. Is there anything you can tell us in terms of casting, or is it under wraps?
Unfortunately, I can't say anything, but you'll be the first to know when I can.
Okay, great. No, I look forward to hearing that. How have you noticed significant changes in terms of opportunities for women as filmmakers? In the last since the post Me Too movement, or how is it in LA?
I think that it's progressing. I think it definitely is progressing. Let's scratch that. I think that things have gotten a little bit better, and it will progress, and women are the future. But it's also, I've dealt with a lot of ageism and sexism, and I look younger than I actually am. And so I have dealt with a lot of producers, male producers, that have talked down to me, and that you don't have a voice. Why are you even speaking? And so I've learned for myself that you do have to, whether you're male or female, you do have to create your own opportunities, and you do have to just do it without any fear. I know that's Carrie Fisher. She said, if you're afraid, what was it? I don't want to butcher her work. She said, be afraid, but do it anyway, I believe. Some of your viewers are going like, that's not what she said. Yeah, I do see a lot of improvements. I mean, you have like Jessica Chastain producing wonderful female-centric movies, and then you have Margot Robbie doing the same. And you just, speaking of one of our producers, Elizabeth, the movie Kate on Netflix, that's like #1 in the world, and it's like, it's great to see like a woman fighting, and you gotta see more stuff like that. I mean, why not? Why can't we? Why can't we see more women at the forefront? And
I agree.
Not only like being a badass and taking names and doing all that kind of stuff, but that they're next to the man, and that they literally can hold their own, and they can be saying whatever they want to say. It's a difficult industry for women, definitely. But for anybody who's like over 40, or and a woman who's over 40 and questioning, like, should I even do this still? If you really want to do it, keep doing it. Like, age does not matter. It really is just the drive and the talent and the opportunities and those doors that you can bust through, because those doors are really just, again, perception is another word that comes up again. It's a part of the perception, and so you can just bust right through them. I hope for more progress, and I'll be looking forward to seeing a lot of more female filmmakers. I remember my lawyer, he said, when he first met me, he said, "You're a very talented writer." Now, what's one female writer that I can think of off the top of my head right now? And he's like, I'm searching, Diablo Cody. He's like, isn't that sad that I have to
stop and think?
Yeah, you have to stop and think. And so, I really do hope to see more female writers and to have them be celebrated.
Very well said. Yeah, I think that's a great note to end on in terms of advice for people who want to be filmmakers or writers. Well, Janaé, I really appreciate that you took the time to come on.
Thank you. I had so much fun. This is wonderful, and you're wonderful.
Oh, thank you. I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed Manage, and I think it'll be a great series, and certainly the Anthony Perkins project you have, and I think we'll see a lot from you down the road. It's really exciting. So thanks so much. Well, I'd love to have you back on again. And yeah. For those of you watching here on YouTube, if this is your first time here, please consider subscribing to my channel, as I'm aiming to monetize. You will see floating above my head right here to your top left, click on the Robert Bellissimo at the Movies logo, and then click the bell in order to get a notification every time I release a new video or when I go live. And there is also an audio version of this podcast, which you can find pretty much anywhere that you get audio podcasts, on Spotify and Amazon and places like that. And I also have a Patreon membership where I have exclusive content, bonus content. You can sign up to become a member. The link is in the description box below as well. And thank you. Well, Janaé, thanks again. And we will see everyone soon.